Hey, everybody, welcome back to this live episode of Think Business with Mike DeGagne. Welcome, Mike. Good to have you, VP of Sales at Quantilope. We're going to talk about some cool things today because you work with large size companies and basically trying to answer questions for them, answer tough questions for them and get them answers in a short amount of time, right? Where something in a cycle may have taken 90 days. Now you can, with your technology, take it down to about a week or so. And companies are using you to bring products to market. They're using you to figure out how to be competitive during pandemics and changing times. So let's talk about the tough questions. And this all revolves around branding and concept testing and things of that nature, which I think a lot of companies are trying to figure out right now, right? How to brand, what to do, how to move, how to pivot during this type of market. So, what's the one biggest question that big companies are looking to get answers to today, Mike? And welcome to the show.
Hey, first of all, John, thanks for having me. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun today. So I think the biggest question is what now? Everything that we've expected, everything we could set our watch to historically in every aisle of the store and every aspect of our lives as consumers has changed completely. There is no trend lines anymore. There is no historical data. And so they're really searching for ways to stay on the pulse of their consumers and understanding what the new world's going to look like. And that's a very, very terrifying idea to CMOs, brand leaders that have been doing this for 20, 30 years. So we're really using technology and this thing called empowerment through Success Labs to help them feel really confident moving forward.
Yeah. And so so talk about technology for a minute, because, everybody's looking as far as to get answers faster, to use technology. What type of technology are you using? Is it artificial intelligence? Is it, because to me, a lot of people that I've been talking to and interviewing are using artificial intelligence on top of so many other, softwares and systems to, so just kind of dive a little into that, if you would, for me.
Yeah, I always joke that there's lies, damn lies, and sales pitches.
Yeah.
And a lot of this stuff talking about machine learning and automation in a lot of cases is really hyped up like branch logic. And so really what our technology does at a core is we've taken all of these point solutions, these different technologies that you need a contract, somebody needs to handle the data, you have salespeople, you have to spend money with all these people, and we've automated these 5 or 6 different platforms into one. So automation is the first thing. It's really going in and making sure that these technologies are talking in real time instantly. And then the machine learning stuff is what you would traditionally need a PhD statistician to go in and look at the data, to set up the experiments correctly. It's all been done in an automated way. But to be clear, it also isn't a cookie cutter. You have to do it this way. We do allow those mad scientists to go in and manipulate the system. And so that's really what is unique about our platform, is that we've really taken the laborious, unfun task of doing complicated market research and made it in a very simple and easy to use way.
Yeah. So one of the things that you guys talk about that you do is you can get questions and answers in less than a week. And right now, I used to be in commercial real estate for a long time. And one of the things I used to talk about is time kills deals. And right now, times are changing so much. I mean, you can just look back at the last 30 days, of the last, 10 months, how much things have changed, and things continue to change rapidly, specifically the mind of the consumer, as you kind of mentioned earlier. And so what's the shelf life of an answer today?
Very, very short. If you think about humans as animals, if you think about migration patterns that you could set your watch to inside of the aisles, inside of the stores as they drive to and from work, all of that is gone. And so as cities open up, as they close, as new information is introduced, really, you almost need to be in the moment in order to understand how consumers are changing. And so the old methodology of waiting 30 days or 6 months or 90 days, it's just not going to cut it. And your competitors out there, if you're in the quick service world and all of these plant-based meat products and all of these contactless delivery options, you need to make sure that you're really understanding how these things are being adopted, what's working, what's not working, and what does that mean for your specific brand. You've spent decades creating a brand halo that means something. Don't screw it up now because you're just trying to move quick.
Yeah, yeah, and I used to be. I wanted to be a journalist. I double majored in economics and journalism, and I worked at a Channel 7 network for a year. And I wanted to be like the next Larry King, or I loved that world. But one of the things that I learned about in TV is that you want to be fast, first, and right, and ideally all three. And so that's kind of what you're talking about, is getting research fast, first, and right. But it sounds like you've got a lot of time to, you still have to be fast. And so just kind of talk me through that, because that seems overwhelming. I think if a lot of people, I would think if you're in a boardroom or companies, the shelf life is in the moments, we all talk about being present, but that's really present. And I don't see that going away, Mike. I don't see it going away for the next, 2 to 5 years of that moment to moment, really having your finger on the pulse. So how does somebody even keep up?
Yeah, I think that there's lousy and bad ways to do it, and that's what I call Googling as hard as you can to find some directional data point. That's from 2017. That doesn't apply, but it's at least a leg to stand on. But all of these leaders, they know that there's a better approach, a better methodology to go out and do it, but they don't have the 90 days to wait to do a conjoint study, an advanced pricing study. They don't have the bench strength. Their PhD statistician is working on other things. And they really just, they don't have the money to go out and try to pay somebody to do it at breakneck speeds. And so that's why this platform is really, really hitting a lot of those pain points, a lot of those things that are keeping these executives up at night, that they can go into a meeting on Friday and say, hey, our buyer at Walmart or Target is trying to remove one of our products from the shelf to replace it with a great value product. And we have 4 days to meet with the buyer there. If we had all the time in the world, we do this really beautiful advanced study, a conjoint study to understand what's in the best interest of the client, the company, the brand. But we don't have that. We don't have 90 days. Now they do. And they actually have the ability to do this virtually in the moment and be ready, prepared with beautiful visualization. So the other thing is, it's great. It's great if you can get the data point, but you have to then be able to translate that in a way that even the most sophisticated chief brand officer, global brand officer like Mark Pritchard at Procter & Gamble can understand, to the least sophisticated associate media buyer at an agency, right? At a media buying agency.
So talk to me about, media buying and selling your product. You oversee and manage 35 salespeople. Are you managing remotely?
Yep. It's an organization of 35 people supporting the sales organization. So we have an outbound team, we have a sales consulting team, we have all these different people. But that's basically, what I do over here. And we're really focused on not a one-to-few approach. So we don't want to go out and talk to 1,000 different people. We want to focus on the right individuals and the right companies that really we can serve with a blue ocean strategy with their needs. Yeah.
So who are your ideal clients, and how do you really get into the crevices of helping them?
Yeah, I talk a lot on my sales team about speaking the right language to the people at the right organization. So our ideal company is CPG, fast-moving consumer goods, retailers, restaurants, anyone that is really has a very fickle consumer that really can make decisions, in the moment. And then in the organization, there's a user level. These are the people, fingers on keyboards, and these people care about features and benefits and 15-minute savings here and there. But the people above that, the VP, the divisional leaders in the insights organization, in the experience organization, and the market research teams, those are really the people that we love to talk to. And those people are taking these data points, applying their business know-how, and then making recommendations to the CMOs, who we also work with. But that VP level, the leader of insights, the leader of that organization is really our ideal client persona.
Yeah. Talk to me about leading 35 people in today's world. That's a lot of people to lead. And we're in, a lot of remote leading. And everybody's just, since the pandemic's world has been, just different. And so what have been your biggest struggles that you've learned about yourself and how you become a better leader?
Yeah, I actually was the first US hire here, right? So I started by myself. In the first year before the pandemic, it was about hiring people in my network or through other individuals that I could hire, people that I could trust and that I could really let them go off, make mistakes, fail to win, we say. Now this year we're really getting that explosive growth. So it's about creating processes that help new people to come in, and we focus on hiring not one type of persona, but we're really focused on creating almost like a Marvel origin story of teams with different strengths and weaknesses. So we really go out and try to find people that really complement one another on the team. So it's a difficult equation, because you have to really constantly look at where your strengths and weaknesses are in your team. And when you're interviewing people, do you think this person is going to be successful in a remote environment for an indefinite period of time?
Yeah, talk to me about training your team. I interviewed somebody this morning. We talked a lot about training to retain, a little bit, more challenging to train your team remotely. But how are you going about that?
Yeah, one of the things, so it's a German company to start with. So process and precision has always been something that's in the DNA of the company. And so I was shocked when I joined from a 120,000 organization at Oracle to this small, at the time, 50, 60 people, that their onboarding, all of the documentation was way better, right? So I got a jump start on that. But everything we do is repeatable. So every piece of training, every learning, everything is already in place, and we keep making incremental improvements to it. So when someone starts, whether they're the only person starting that week, they can actually get onboarded through a really, really advanced process. And then each new person has the ability to challenge what our status quo is and what our approach is to these things, and hopefully improve upon it.
Yeah. Let's talk about branding today and companies that are looking to brand, do concept testing. I just want to go back to that, because concept testing in today's market, when you're not sure what the consumer is thinking and their mind is changing so rapidly, what does a company do like yours to help with this, right? On how to shift a brand while still keeping its lineage, and also connecting with consumers and getting that feedback. It seems like a very fast moving cycle where a company may think, what's our identity today? So how does that move?
Yeah, it's funny you're saying move and you're doing a loop. So one of the things that we really believe is that giving a company access and a login to a powerful platform really does not promote adoption. It does not promote transformational value. So the first thing we do is we actually go in. I mentioned this Success Lab team. These are people who have PhDs in neuroscience from Duke. These are people who have worked at big research consultancy firms. And then we actually go in and assess where they are in their journey for what we call an agile insights transformation. And we actually take into consideration their lineage, their heritage, and then understand what their challenges are. And then we create these learning loops where we go and say, okay, do you understand what your brand means from a subconscious level inside your best customers' minds? And then what does that translate into what they actually think on a conscious level? That's the idea of system 1 versus system 2. Daniel Kahneman wrote Thinking Fast and Slow about that idea. And then how does the changes in the world, what your competitors are doing, how does that impact how you should move forward? If you're Wendy's, should you introduce a plant-based beef product like the Impossible Whopper if your tagline is fresh, never frozen beef? Don't rush to chase falling stars just because your competitors are. You really need to be thoughtful before you burn that brand.
That's what I wanted to really have you kind of touch on, right? I mean, some of this will pass, and you can't make changes that end up being huge mistakes. And so how do you guide a client not to rush, but yet to forecast and have in the intuitive insight to know that they've got to change course? One of my favorite shows is The Men That Built America. It starts with Vanderbilt selling all of the ships because he then puts all of his money into railroads because he just knows that's the way. It's moonshot type thinking. So where's the balance of Vanderbilt moonshot thinking to not rushing and doing the right thing?
Yeah, I love this question and that example, because most technology companies out there, they really say that they can help this transformational idea, but really they're focused on incrementality, right? And most of the clients that we're working with, and the ones like Flowers Foods and Dannon and Nestle that we're working with, they've made a decision that incrementality is not going to work in this world. And actually, they don't even know if they can continue that incrementality from here. What we're focused on is really helping people and holding their hand in the beginning, a crawl, walk, run approach with technology to help them get to that next level. But really, what we see is a lot of people have paralysis. Everything that they've done before for 10, 15 years is now in question, or their trend lines or everything that they've used before isn't really valid in the new world. So there is this white knuckling moment where they don't even know if they should be driving forward, back, left, and right. And it's helping them get off that ship in this example and start to build that railway.
Yeah, got it. All right, good. I love what you're doing as not only a leader of people, but also a leader in your industry that are helping people make decisions. I think one of the hardest things for most leaders, most business owners, and most people are making a decision. And so once you provide people with the answers to their questions, these very high level, difficult questions, you provide high level answers. How do you then get them, or how do they, or how quickly are they making a decision, right? And do they need more information to make a decision? How much information does somebody need from you to actually make a decision?
So that's a great question, because it depends on what the business problem is. And the first thing is, how do you approach the business problem? So I gave the example of Walmart taking off one of your products, one of your SKUs off the shelf. You don't even know where to begin. So that Success Lab team that we have, we can actually help you. But if it's a bigger question, we had a company come to us and say, we want to be, our goal in the next 2 to 5 years is to become the most aspirational brand in the world, bigger than Apple. And so where do you even begin? And so that's when this idea of the bespoke agile transformation comes in, where we need to say, okay, let's start with understanding where your brand halo fits in with the system one approach. Then let's understand what claims, what imagery, what actually makes sense. Let's understand what new products actually fit into what these clients are doing, and how do we track that over time. So it's about creating the framework and then making incremental changes. We call it crawl, walk, run. It's how we work with everybody. And we don't try to go in and do open heart surgery and say, shut the lights off on everything that you're doing. You have to move to this platform. We really look on creating momentum through small wins and growing that relationship where it makes sense over time.
Yeah, I love that. All right, good. I love it. All right, you ready for a quick speed round, Mike?
Is it buy, sell, or hold, or how are we going to do this?
Favorite book and why?
My favorite business book, I would say, I'm looking over on my shelf, is Never Split the Difference. I would say Chris Voss. We train on it here, and I'm actually obsessed right now with the Terry Pratchett Discworld fantasy books. There's 41 of them. I got sick of watching streaming television, and I'm up to book 16, and I'm tearing through them. They're like Monty Python meets The Ring. Highly recommended.
Oh, nice. All right, good. Best piece of wisdom you received from a mentor?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I would say know when to shut up. That's really an important thing, especially in client relationships and even in work, right? Just having the ability to make a statement, put it out there, live comfortably in the silence, and then let the conversation go where it's going to go is usually really helpful.
I love it. Last question. One thing everybody needs to do in 2021 to make a better decision is?
I think one thing that I've just been delighted about is the adoption of mindfulness and these meditation apps. I really have benefited. I've been doing meditation for about 10 minutes a day with the Headspace app. Shout out to Headspace. 10 minutes a day, and I'm telling you, it helps calm me, it helps center me, and the issues or things that are in my head, it just helps me really make better decisions. And I'm going to give you one more thing. I recently got an electric toothbrush, fresh from the dentist, clean every day. You should do that for your mouth.
You know, my dad passed away, but he was a dentist. I've always had an electric toothbrush. And I've been meditating for 25 years. And so it's the very first thing I do every morning. And I agree. I think it is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. Mike, tell everybody who your ideal clients are and how people can connect with you.
Great. So really anyone who's interested in the end consumer, so retailers, fast moving consumer good companies, really anybody who has a market research department that is either having shrinking budgets working with big consultancies or has too many point solutions internally. And one of the cool things today for the podcast listeners, if it's a good fit for both of us, we would actually do a free pilot study and actually let you crawl, walk, run with us in a trial period for free. And so feel free to reach out to me. I'm mike.degagne@gmail.com, or just go to the website, fill out a form. But that's available to everybody as long as there's a good fit.
It's great. I love it. Mike, I appreciate you being on the show. I appreciate your time and your wisdom. Again, I think everybody's looking to make a better decision. Everybody needs answers to their questions. They need them fast. They need them hyper fast today in today's world. You guys provide a great service to companies who are in need, who need to act quickly. If anybody listening, if Mike can help you and his team, feel free to reach out. Mike, I appreciate you taking time to talk to us on Think Business. Have an awesome day, man. Thanks so much.
Bye. Thank you so much for having me.